Hello and welcome to another video, and it is about one of my favorite add-ons on my still favorite simulator, the Zibo 737-800 mod on XP11. And before I start, I just want to express my gratitude for the whole team. This is not a single person. This is a team of people, of dedicated people with talents that actually gave us for free a highly accurate and kind of high fidelity simulation of a Boeing 737-800 for free, you know. And not only that, this aircraft and the way they have done it is so versatile that for people that know how to develop code, I can do a lot of things with it. For example, I'm currently programming this virtual co-pilot in Lua. And this aircraft is the only aircraft I've seen so far which allows me to do really many nifty things that other aircraft simply don't have as features. So the guys here have really done a great job, and I can't express how thankful I am for this. Okay, so this out of circulation, of my circulation now. Let's go and look at what I actually wanted to show you. I give you a situation here. You're flying on VATSIM on a long haul. X-plane crashes. Yes, X-plane can crash. Unfortunately, that happens. It also happens with the Zibo. Not often, but it does. And you're in the middle of a long-haul flight, or even worse, you're shortly before landing and the whole thing goes bye-bye. Isn't that... Yeah, I think all of us have seen this situation. Now, when we go to the long-haul flight, you're in the middle of the Atlantic Ocean and the whole thing goes south, and you're really, really frustrated and angry. So what can you do? Well, I'd give you an example of what can be done when you have prepared and you have one of the PMDG aircraft, the 737, the 747, or the 777. They have a feature. When you save a simulator situation, they also automatically save the complete state of the aircraft, everything, at the time when the situation save takes place. And what you can do is you can restart your simulator, you can load the situation from the simulator, and the aircraft will automatically load its state as it was at the position, the time, the speed, the attitude, everything. So from one moment to the next, you can continue your flight. Not exactly at the point where, or let's see, at the point in time when you have crashed, because obviously it takes time to load the simulator, to load the situation, and that means you are way behind where you should be. So what I do when I do online flying is I connect with XpConnect, I go into observer mode, I contact the controller, I ask him if it's okay if I spawn, I give him an approximate position. And if he's okay with that, I will switch from observer mode, so I reconnect with VATSIM and switch off observer mode. And then I would be flying again. Obviously, I also check my surroundings to see if I don't hit any of the other VATSIM online contacts. And that at least allows me to continue the flight instead of being completely frustrated or trying to spawn somewhere close, which over the Atlantic is very difficult because chances are you're nowhere close where you could spawn again. And anyway, it's very frustrating. I wish that I would have had that when I did XP11 based world flights on VATSIM, because I had the odd crash here and there. Yeah, it does happen. And I wish that the Zibo would have this feature. And they did kind of foresee it, but at the time when I was looking at this, it was experimental. It wasn't completely coded through. So it was something that just didn't work very well. And therefore, it wasn't an option for me. Okay. So when I programmed my KP crew, I came again to this, sometimes it would be easier if, for example, the cold and dark state or my turnaround state, yeah, if I could save this and call it up much quicker than I would by running through huge procedures. So it would make some aspects of the KP crew programming a bit easier, for example, the cold and dark and turnaround state thing, because I could actually provide a safe configuration, but then it didn't look like that's something feasible. So I still was thinking, wouldn't it be great if the Zibo would spawn exactly where it was left off and then have everything set, especially the FMC with the flight plan and everything, because you can use situations in X-Plane, but when you do, oh, I see we got a gate. When you do, your flight plan is gone, everything is gone. And by the time you have set up everything and then you have to kind of move forward in your flight plan so that your the autopilot is off. So you have to basically pause the aircraft, which is also not working, and it would take ages, and it just doesn't, it doesn't work. It does not work if you do that. So I thought, well, wouldn't it be great? And I remembered that there is this feature, and I kind of looked at it, says, okay, yeah, I remember there was this save and load configuration. I went on the internet, I read a little bit, I found an old article from 2 or 3 years ago, and that said, it's not really useful yet, it's just experimental, it doesn't work very well. And I thought, yeah, I remember that. Then I looked for a bit more recent articles. I found one from end of last year, and there it said, yeah, sure, this exists. You can call it up here and there, and it seems to work. I thought, oh, great. Okay, so go to save and load. Forget about all this here. This is partly a little bit confusing, I find, personally, but this is the stuff that I'm talking about. Now, if you are anywhere, like here I'm, for example, I'm standing at the position here in Munich. I think it's position 203. I have saved this situation as number 4. And when I click here, you see it actually loads, and see how quick that goes. And we find ourselves in the same situation that we were a couple of minutes ago. All right. Now that's not a very good example, but again, so if you see here, we have time is 13:29. Now you see that the menu switched. That is something that I programmed into my KP crew. Basically what it does, every 5 minutes, it takes a snapshot. It uses one of the 8 possible flights. Namely, you have to go to page 2. It uses save flight number 8. And when I click now on load flight number 8, check out the time. See, we were back to 29. We were at 30, and we're back at 29. So we are a little bit behind now with the time. Compared to when we started. Now, if you use real time, that should be okay, because you will automatically be setting the time that is real time. Yeah, but here I don't use. I use simulator time. It's not my local time here, so therefore, simulator time. Yeah, so I'm not using my real time at the moment. Now, if you want to spawn the flight there, wherever you have left it, I actually saved a situation here under number 7. Now the thing is, you might experience some issues because there still seem to be the odd thing that doesn't fully convert. Okay, now I will show you by doing the following. I'm going to load number 7 and we're going to have to wait now for some time. Why? Because this is somewhere between Munich and Stuttgart. Therefore, we are on a different tile. And when you load a situation in X-Plane that is on a different tile, it needs to reload the whole thing. And that can take time, especially when you have autos like I do here, because it first needs to load everything in. And that can take, depending on your simulator setup and all, it can take a couple of minutes. Yeah. While it's doing that, I'm going to show you how these situations are saved. You see here's number 7. The situations are called B738X underscore and something between 1 and 8. And you can see the 07 is one of the later, or the latest actually at the moment, because it was the save button that I last pressed. The SIT files, SIT files, they are the situation files from X-Plane. So these are standard X-Plane files and they bring the aircraft right to the point where it was when you saved the situation with the speed and everything the same. But that alone would not work because the aircraft would be engines off, everything off, no flight plan, no nothing. By the time you would recover this, you would probably have crashed. Yeah, because you also can't pause things, because otherwise you can't set up your FMC and all that. So that wouldn't work. But it's the little .dat file here. That is the difference, because in there it stores the complete state of the aircraft at the time. Now, I'm going to pause this here. Unfortunately, I've realized that under some circumstances, it will actually have a problem. It will, for example, not activate the autopilot. You can't also turn it on. The auto throttle comes off and you can't get it on because it always flips out again. In that case, what you have to do is look up here and you will realize that it seems not everything has been switched. Okay, so for example, we have a lot of orange lights, including the doors, by the way. And yeah, so not perfect. It works better if the situation you spawn from is similar to the one that you are spawning into. Meaning, if you want to recover your flight, you should actually start the aircraft offline. Yeah, you're not on VATSIM. You should start the aircraft with running engines, because then all the doors are closed and also the electricity is put on. So it's not perfect yet, but it's good enough. Now, this here can be remedied very quickly, but you just have to be a little fast. Oh, so what's going on? I spoke too soon. Doesn't look like the engines are on. So yeah, that's a another typical thing that shouldn't really happen. Aha, here we go. It takes some time. See here.
1,000 to go.
Now I'm going to use VNAV, LNAV command, and we are back in business. Now let's quickly check the FMC, and this is the good thing. Yeah, here we go. It has recovered. You might have to use something like level change to get back onto altitude again, because we lost now altitude. So you can, oops, we also need the auto throttle on. So you can remedy this by, cargo doors are also open. You remedy this by starting the aircraft with running engines like you would on the runway, and then you load the situation, and then you have no problem, because a lot of these things then are working. Yeah, it's not perfect yet, but for me this is actually now good enough that I can recover from a crash. Oh, so we are on 15,000, yeah. Right. So we're back, we're on the flight. You can see that the flight plan is still there. Yeah, everything continues. You are not where you should be under normal circumstances, so don't forget that. Check out when you're online flying by turning on the TCAS again. The TCAS seems to be off. Yeah, so there are some minor issues. That's why I say use the on the runway with running engines as a startup. That should remedy most of these things. Like here's the RTO. That could actually have been part of the situation, because yeah, I might have had that still on. I'm not sure now, to be honest. Yeah, here you go. So that's the flight safe and flight load. I think it's a great feature. It's not perfect yet, and I put this into my KP Crew script. So every 5 minutes I use situation number 8. Okay, and what we can do now is just to show you. If I go on the second page, here's situation number 8. I'm going to call up for it now. I hope we're not on the airport. Where did it save? Oh, we'll see. We might actually... No, we're not. And here you see the difference now. See? So that was saved at 13:37 simulator time. And there's none of that alarm stuff. And the reason is we have the aircraft reasonably well set up for it. Therefore, it didn't have to do too much, especially the parts that it obviously doesn't do yet. And yeah, it's quite good. But if you spawn from at the airport everything off situation, you should really turn these things on, or as I say, use the running engines on runway startup, and then you should be fine. Yeah, we still had the RTO here, so I turn this off again. Perfect. So this actually makes me now wonder if I can use X-Plane and the Zibo again for world flight, because I switched to prepared and the PMDG 747 because I just wanted to be able to do this. I will experiment a little bit more with this feature, but I think it's good enough for me. It's good enough to spawn in case something happens. Yeah, so I'm glad enough. Now, if you do not have a script like I do, you just go here and regularly remember sort of maybe at certain parts of your flight you should call this. I haven't found a timing thing, so I haven't found anywhere where you could say please save the situation every 5 minutes. Doesn't exist, so I put it in my script as a kind of a background task to repeat every 5 minutes, and that makes sure that I have on our current state every 5 minutes and can go back to it. Right, that's it. That's what I wanted to show you. Hope that's useful to you. Until next time.